also get questions, kind of crazy ones sometimes, about cremation, for instance.
Oh, true.
And there's these new methods of disposing of bodies which the church is condemning, right? Where you kind of liquefy the remains.
Or turn them into diamonds or shoot them into space or something
All
like that.
kinds of crazy things that have come out recently. So sometimes we get those questions, and we can help answer those. But to me, I mean, the cremation issue is real. The church is not in favor of cremation. It's allowed, but really under specific circumstances. So the ordinary means is to be buried. Now, if it's a huge financial hardship and the family can't afford a burial, and so they do cremation for financial, it can be justified. If the person has a specific horror, and they just like, oh my gosh, I can't stand the thought of my body, rotting, deteriorating, decomposing, etc., and they have this kind of sense that they want to be cremated because that's what they can contemplate. That could be an exceptional reason as well, whatever.
What about countries that don't have a lot of like cemetery space? Because I believe like Germany has that issue, I believe, where they don't have a ton of would that be a permissible thing, or is that an area you don't?
So there's certain countries where you're only buried for a limited period of time.
Yeah, I think.
And then you have to re-up. You have to pay to remain underground. Otherwise, they take you out and they put you into a little box somewhere and they reuse the burials plot because they don't have enough space. It's kind of crazy from the U.S. where we have enough space, but there are some countries where that is an issue. It could be a circumstance where essentially, there's a financial hardship to where they don't really have a true choice, and then they would have to have a cremation because they can't afford something else. Those issues could be allowable, but I think unfortunately people kind of choose it because it's cheaper, even though they really should, if they can afford it, do a normal burial. It seems like it's almost like a cultural custom that has come into place, but is not one that the church really approves of. There's some of these things that are like church teaching, and then people don't really realize it. Like abstaining from meat on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know about Lent, but every Friday of the year we're supposed to abstain from meat or make another sacrifice. So it's optional. You don't have to abstain from meat on Fridays, but you're supposed to make another, if you are having your, ham sandwich or whatever on a Friday, you're supposed to be making some kind of, and people just completely forget about that thing that they're supposed to make some other sacrifice. The cremation issue is similar, right? The ordinary rule is that you're supposed to be buried, and if there's a good reason, some kind of exceptional circumstance for cremation, okay. But there are places now where the ordinary thing is to go through cremation. It's sad, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's something, like you said, a lot of people don't necessarily realize that there's even a debate about it. They're just told that their relative who's passed away needs to be cremated, or they just choose it because it's cheaper. And
Yeah, they now look at it from a strictly economic perspective, as opposed to, the reason why cremation was not allowed at all in the beginning, except in exceptional circumstances. The church during times of pandemics and other things where there was no, after battles, when there was no possibility of, and there was a danger of disease from all the bodies, et cetera. So cremation was allowed in those circumstances. But the idea was people you burn the body because the body has no importance. And so like Freemasons and others were like, there's no resurrection of the body, et cetera. So you might as well burn them, et cetera. And of course, if a person has that attitude, and that's why they want the cremation, the church doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
It would say that is a sinful act to deny the resurrection of the body, and to have cremation as a symbol of that denial is a very sinful act and intention. But the point, I think, is that people should realize that there is a value to the body, and that, having the person buried and have a place that you can go to pray for the soul of this person is very, very helpful. Because that's the other thing that happens with cremated remains, is that they get spread to the wind, all kinds of things, which the church completely condemns, right? If a person is cremated who's a Catholic and they have a specific reason to do so, then of course their remains have to be put in a sacred place. Mm-hmm. So in a columbarium, in a cemetery, but not in the closet, or in someone's house, or spreading their ashes someplace. That there should actually be a place to go and pray for that person's soul. That's a consecrated space.